You log into Warframe for the first time. You have no idea what's happening. There's a weird alien corridor, someone named Lotus is talking to you with lore you don't understand yet, and within 10 minutes, someone in the region chat has already told you to just wiki everything. So you do what any reasonable person does. You close the game. And honestly, I get it. I was there in 2013 when this game launched into open beta and was somehow even more confusing than it is now. There was less of everything. Less content, less polish, less explanation, less everything. And yet, I stayed. 13 years later, I'm still here. And the question this video is really about is why? Not why is Warframe good. There are 1,000 videos about that. The real question is, why does Warframe feel like it's just beginning right at the moment most people quit? Why does a game about space ninjas shooting things turns into something that keeps people coming back for over a decade? Because here's the thing about Warframe that nobody tells you up front. It's not the game you think it is. And figuring that out, the shift in understanding, is the entire experience. Let me take you back to 2013. Warframe at launch was bare bones. A handful of warframes, limited mission types, grinding the same tile sets over and over, no open worlds, no story quests worth mentioning, no parkour system. You had the stamina bar sprint like it was 2009. The game was rough. Ambitious, but rough. And yet, even then, there was something there. The movement, even in its primitive form, felt different. The power fantasy of being a space ninja was real, even when the content around it wasn't. Fast forward to 2026, and Warframe is a completely different beast. We've had massive expansions. Plains of Eidolon brought open worlds, The Second Dream changed how we understood the story, Fortuna gave us hoverboards, Railjack added space combat, Duviri introduced time loops and a completely different gameplay mode, and Warframe 1999, which is a literal time-traveling dating sim update, somehow worked and broke player records. Now, we have the Shadowgrapher update, which drops in March 2026, bringing with it the 64th Warframe. Later this year, we're getting the Tau system expansion, the place the entire story has been building towards since the beginning. TennoCon 2026 is happening in July, and just a few days ago, February 19th, Warframe launched globally on Android via Google Play Store after a successful regional launch in Canada. After 13 years, this game is not slowing down. But here's what's wild. The core loop hasn't changed. You still pick a mission, you still bullet jump through corridors, you still shoot things and collect loot, you still mod your gear. The formula is the same. What changed is everything around it. The depth, the variety, the world building, the ambition. And that is the first clue to understanding what Warframe actually is. Now let's address the elephant in the room. The new player experience in Warframe has historically been the biggest criticism the game gets, and for years that criticism was valid. For years, people complained about Vor's Prize, the old tutorial that was basically, here's a gun, good luck, go wiki everything. It was hostile, it was confusing, it filtered out more players than it welcomed. In 2020, Digital Extremes replaced it with The Awakening, a cinematic quest designed specifically to fix that problem. Better pacing, actual guidance, an introduction that treated you like you were starting a story, not being handed a manual and shoved out the door. And then they kept improving it. Quality of life changes, adjustments, and in October 2025, they added something the community had been begging for. The Teacher, a dedicated modding tutorial quest. That's huge, because for over a decade, modding was something that you had to figure out through trial and error or by watching YouTube guides. Now there's an actual in-game quest that teaches you how the core progression system works. Is it perfect now? No. The learning curve is still steep. There are still systems the game doesn't explain well enough. You're still going to alt-tab to the wiki at some point. But the Warframe you download in 2026 is significantly more accessible than the one people quit in 2017 or 2018. If you gave up years ago because the tutorial broke you, that version of the game doesn't exist anymore. Here's my advice for new players in 2026. Accept that confusion is part of the design. Warframe doesn't hold your hand because it wants you to explore, experiment, and discover. But also accept that Digital Extremes has made massive strides in making that discovery process less painful. Do the teacher quest as soon as it's available. Don't skip it. The modding system is the backbone of the entire game, and understanding it early will save you hours of frustration. Use the wiki when you need to. It's not a failure to look things up, it's a tool after all. Join a clan early. The Warframe community is one of the most helpful gaming communities, and people genuinely want to help you succeed. And most importantly, be patient. The first 10 to 20 hours are going to feel like work, but if you push through, something clicks, the movement makes sense, the systems start to connect, and suddenly you're no longer confused, you're obsessed. That's the wall nobody talks about. It's not the UI, it's not the grind, it's that Warframe doesn't tell you what kind of game it is until you're already neck deep in it. Now let's talk about what makes Warframe feel the way it does. Movement. Parkour 2.0 is still the best movement system in any game I've ever played, and I don't say that lightly. Once it clicks, the bullet jumping, the aim gliding, the wall running, the slide attacks, you don't just play a space ninja, you become one. No other game on the market moves like this. It's kinetic, it's expressive, it's fast, and after 13 years, it still doesn't get old. You're not walking through missions, you're flying through them. And that alone is worth the price of admission, which, by the way, is free. Next is build diversity. This is where Warframe gets deep. As of March 2026, we will have 64 Warframes, and they are not just reskins with different stats. Each one of them fundamentally changes how you play the game. Volt makes you fast and electric. Korra is a summoner with a living weapon. Limbo lets you phase between dimensions. Mesa turns you into a walking turret. Depending on what you bring into a mission, you are playing a different game. And here's what I love. Even though Warframes can feel like locked-in classes, you can still roleplay them in different ways. Tank Loki? Sure. Support Rhino? Why not? The modding system lets you build almost any frame however you want. There's freedom in that. And that is before we talk about weapons. Hundreds of guns, dozens of melee weapons. We truly feel like gun and blade space ninjas. Companions like Kubros, Kavats, Sentinels, all with their own builds and personality. The Atomic Cycles from 1999 that let you drive around maps. And the Railjack for space combat. The variety is staggering, and the freedom to experiment with all of it is what keeps me coming back. I love that freedom. From very early on, after the introduction quests, you're free to explore the star chart however you want. You're not on rails. The game opens up and says, what do you want to do today? Some days I'm grinding relics, some days I'm racing through maps on my Atomic Cycle, some days I'm doing Railjack missions in space, some days I'm hunting Eidolons in the plains. The variety keeps it fresh even after over a decade. But let's be real. For veterans, the game can become trivial. Once you have the right builds, most of the content becomes a formality. There is no real challenge left outside of self-imposed restrictions or endurance runs. That's real criticism, and one DE hasn't fully solved. Here is one of Warframe's biggest ongoing problems: content islands. Every major update tends to introduce a new system: Railjack, Deviri, Zarimon, 1999's Holvania, and while these systems are fun in isolation, they don't always integrate well with the rest of the game. You do the new content, you get the rewards, and then you never touch it again unless you need something specific. Railjack was like this for years. Amazing space combat, but why would you do it after you got the mastery in the weapons? Deviri introduced a completely different gameplay loop with roguelike elements, but it exists in its own bubble. The old piece, the most recent update, even felt more linear compared to the sprawling chaos of 1999, and it's only one half of a much bigger story, which means we're waiting for the Tau expansion later this year to see the payoff. That said, what works incredibly well. The fact that I can log in and choose between a dozen different activities, depending on my mood, is a strength. Want to speedrun some capture missions? Done in 3 minutes or less. Want to do a 2-hour endurance survival run? Go for it. Want to just vibe in your orbiter decorating or working on fashion frame? That's a valid endgame too. The map variety is insane. We have so many maps to explore. Corporate ships, Grineer galleons, infested derelicts, open worlds on Earth, Venus, and the Cambion Drift, Railjack missions in space, void missions that break reality. Every tile set feels different, and after all these years, I still appreciate that. I personally love all the updates we have received so far. Each one of them brings something new to play with, even if they don't connect together perfectly. Railjack is generally fun when you're in the mood for space combat, the Atomic Cycles makes traversal feel fresh, and the companions add personality to your runs. But the integration issues remain, and it's something DE has struggled with for the entire lifespan of the game. Now let's talk about the elephant in the other room. Early game Warframe has almost no story, and that is a major weakness. For the first 20, 30, maybe even 50 hours, you're just doing missions. The Lotus tells you to kill things, or to hack things, or to defend things, and you do it. There is no narrative weight, no emotional stakes. Just Space Ninja does Space Ninja things. And then the second dream happened. I'm not going to spoil it, but I will tell you that when it dropped in 2015, I sat in front of my screen after finishing it and just sat there. Not because it was over, because I suddenly understood what this game had been building towards the entire time without me realizing it. The lore hit me. The world hit me. The Tenno, the character I'd been playing as for years, suddenly meant something completely different than I thought. That was the click for me. Not the movement, not the builds, not the grind. A story moment that recontextualized everything. And from there, the quests get better. The war within, the sacrifice, the new war, whispers in the wall, 1999's ARG-style experimental storytelling. These are some of the best narrative moments I've experienced in any game, live service or otherwise. But, and this is a big but, the story is locked behind dozens of hours of grinding. You have to earn the right to see it, and for some people, that's too much to ask. For me, it made it mean more, because I had to work for it, and when it finally paid off, it paid off. The Tau system expansion coming later in 2026 is what the entire story has been building toward since day one. Everything, the sentience, the Lotus, the Tenno, the origin system, has been leading to this. And after 13 years, we're finally getting there. Now, let's talk money. Warframe has one of the fairest free-to-play models in gaming, and I'm not saying that lightly. Almost everything in the game can be earned without spending a dime. Warframes, weapons, mods, some cosmetics, grindable. The only thing you have to buy with real money are certain cosmetic skins, which some of them are even player-made, and some convenience items. What they're selling is time. You can farm a Warframe and craft it over 3 days, or you can buy it with platinum and have it instantly. That's the transaction. They're not selling power, they're not locking content behind paywalls, they're saying your time or your money. You choose. And honestly, that's fair. The catches, though, are minor. Inventory slots cost platinum, even though you can obtain some through different achievements. Some cosmetics are platinum only. Forma and potatoes, yes, that's what we're calling them, are technically grindable, but you'll probably buy some eventually. But compared to most live service games, Warframe respects you. It's not trying to psychologically manipulate you into spending. It's just offering convenience for people who do not have time to grind. During these 13 years, I supported the game with my own money on several occasions, but I've also gotten thousands of hours of content. The value proposition is absurd. One of Warframe's greatest strengths is its community. This is one of the most genuinely helpful player base I've been part of. A new player asks a question in the region chat, 5 veterans will fall over themselves to help. Someone needs a taxi to a node they haven't unlocked yet, someone will offer. Clan systems are active and welcoming. Digital Extremes runs regular dev streams where they show off upcoming content, take feedback, and are genuinely transparent about development. That kind of communication is rare nowadays in live service games. TennoCon 2026, which is their own convention, is happening in July in London, Ontario, Canada. The community is still active, still passionate, still creating content, and helping each other. And the updates keep coming. The old piece broke player records, the Shadowgrapher is dropping in March, Tau later this year, and an Android version is fully live, with iOS likely coming next. 13 years in, and this game is not slowing down. Alright, enough with the good stuff. Endgame clarity is a mess. There's no clear endgame beyond collecting everything and making yourself look good. Steelpath exists as hard mode, but once you can handle it, what's left? Fashion Frame is generally the endgame for most people, and while that's fun, it's not exactly compelling design. The wiki is less mandatory than it used to be, but it's still necessary. Content islands remain a problem. New systems don't integrate. The old piece felt smaller after the massive 1999 update. You do the new thing, you get the rewards, you move on. Power creep is real. Veterans trivialize most content. There's no challenge left unless you self-impose restrictions. And while that's fine for some people, it makes the game feel shallow once you've hit a certain power level. The burnout cycle is real. Play it, get tired of it, quit, come back 6 months later, is the Warframe experience for most long-term players, including me. I have taken breaks multiple times, and I always come back. But the fact that burnout is expected says something. Decision paralysis. Too many systems, too many choices. Even veterans can feel overwhelmed when coming back after a break. New players? Forget about it. Content pacing. The old piece is one half of a much bigger story. We're waiting for Tau to get the payoff. That's really frustrating when you finish the update and realize you were left on a cliffhanger. These are real problems, and I'm not going to pretend they don't exist. Now, who should play Warframe in 2026? For new players, if you enjoy looter shooters, sci-fi, grinding, and build crafting, Warframe is for you. If you're willing to use wikis, less than before thanks to the teacher, be patient with the learning curve, and invest 100 plus hours to see the game open up, Warframe is for you. 2026 is generally a great entry point. Major story arc building to Tau, lots of quality of life improvements including the modding tutorial, the game is breaking player records, the community is active and helpful, and it's free. If you can embrace the confusion and push through the first 20 hours, you are rewarded with years of content. Now for returning players, the game is very much alive. The old piece broke records, the operator drifter visual overhaul may make you want to re-experience story quests. If you left after 1999, there's already new content with more coming. Many long-standing issues have been addressed. Not all problems are fixed though, but enough that coming back feels fresh rather than frustrating. Here's the paradox of Warframe. It's simultaneously too complicated and not challenging enough. It's a game that respects your time and also demands hundreds of hours of it. It's a free-to-play game that's somehow fairer than most premium titles. It's been running for 13 years, and it's still reinventing itself. That kind of longevity is rare in live service games. So why do I keep coming back? Because underneath all the grind, all the confusion, all the content islands and power creep, there is a game that genuinely wants me to enjoy it. A game that gives me freedom to play how I want. A game that trusts me to figure things out. A game that rewards patience with some of the best story moments in gaming. I keep coming back because even after 13 years, Warframe still feels like it's just beginning. And with Tau on the horizon, 2026 might be the perfect time to finally see where it's all been leading. So, is Warframe worth playing in 2026? Absolutely. Just don't let anyone tell you just wiki everything and call it a day. The game has moved past that. So should we.